Time's up, little buddy. I think this is going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. 1, 2, 3. Hey everybody, this is James and you're watching my channel, CAD Roll Hunter. My friend Tim, the local antique dealer that I've been fortunate enough to buy some really cool coin lots off of, sent me a message earlier today and said he had something for me, a little bit of an early Christmas gift, I guess. And when I went to his shop, he had these two piggy banks here for me. This one in the back is plastic, and this one here in the front is made of porcelain or ceramic or something like that. And there are some coins, and this little piggy here is stuffed full of coins. So I did a little bit of research, and so Tim doesn't know what's in here. He thinks it's going to be a bunch of pennies, and that's what I can kind of see from the top. And I did a bit of research, and I found that this particular piggy bank appears to be from the 40s. So it's a bit of a vintage piece, maybe an antique if you want to call it that. It's made in Japan, and I can see that because it clearly says Japan on the foot here. And I believe that these were hand painted. And so we want to find out what's in here. But unfortunately, this particular piggy bank is the kind that doesn't actually have a hole in it to get the coins out of. If you want to get the money out of the piggy bank, you quite literally have to break the bank. I know that some of you are going to say that this thing has some collectible value. It's a vintage piece, an antique piece, and wouldn't want me to disturb it. But I will tell you something. I did everything I could to see if I could get these pennies out of the top without actually busting this thing. And I was only able to get this one coin out of here. Now, what was really exciting and interesting is that this one coin is a 1942. It's got some toning here. It's though otherwise in pretty good condition. And so there's a decent chance, I'm hoping anyway, that inside this piggy bank is a whole lot of coins from the 40s. Wouldn't it be really cool if this was just filled up in the 40s and just sat for, oh goodness, 80 years waiting for somebody to crack into it and see what was in there? That would be just incredible. Now this guy at the back here, I think I can get the stuff out. And if I look in the holes, the stuff doesn't appear to be all that old. Some of it is shiny, newer stuff. And this has a bit of a crack in it. So I think I can probably get this stuff out without destroying it. But I doubt this is as old as the other one. And I don't think it has much in the way of collectible value itself. So maybe we'll start with this one. We'll see if there's any way we can get stuff out of here without breaking it. But if we have to, we're going to bust her open, break the bank, and see what's inside. All right, so this one here, I think I can probably get this stuff out of it just by holding it open and shaking it enough. I see a little bit of an older piece in there. Come on, let's see. There's more in there. I know there is. Come on. Well, that's it. We got it out there. A little worse for wear, I think. I might have broken it just a little bit, but I'm not too concerned. Well, I'm going to take a look and see what's in here. I'm not terribly excited about what I see. You can see there's some newer stuff, bright and shiny stuff. I don't think there's anything terribly old. I did see a couple of Americans in there, so we'll take a peek and see what we got here. All right, I've sorted through what we found in our little green piggy here, and kind of what we expected. Nothing really crazy in here. There were some newer, shinier Canadian cents, nothing newer than 2003, and a big little stack of them, a big little stack of them, and they're all nice and bright and shiny. So it's possible that everything has been in this little piggy bank for the last 20 years and it hasn't been touched. There are a few more zinc and steel cents here, a little bit older, and a couple stacks of Canadian copper, all in pretty rough shape here, including a stack of 1967 commemoratives. And I scoped them all to see if there was any doubling, and I did find some on one of them. I've got it under the scope here. Now, there is a doubled die obverse you want to look for on these 1967s, and it's particularly apparent on the legend here, D.G. Regina. Now, I can see some doubling here, but the rotated hub doubling that you want to find here typically spreads from the D and becomes further over to the right as we move across the letters here. And that's not exactly what we're finding. We're finding some doubling, but it's likely die deterioration doubling. It's really just around the letters. It's not shifted. If this was the true double die, we would see a split serif. We would see another serif to the right, say at the top of the G and over here. And that's not really what we're seeing. But we weren't totally out of luck. I mean, we did get a few copper cents from the States and a shiny 1995, but we did find a couple older cents in here. We got one wheat cent from the States. If I flip this bad boy over, it's a 1944 from Philadelphia. And we got a King George VI. This one is a 1952. But this is not the main event. This little piggy we weren't expecting anything from him. What we really are hoping to find are some gems in this little piggy. All right, I haven't been able to get anything out of here, but I just wanted you to see what I'm seeing here. There's a bunch of pennies in here for sure, and then two reeded edges, and they're different. So I don't know if it's possible that maybe it's like an American and a Canadian, but one on the left appears to have more spaced out reading. Maybe it's just, perhaps it's newer or older than the other one. But I'm really curious to see what's in here, because if it's old, it's going to be silver, so fingers crossed. Well, I have tried every which way. I tried to use this little 2x2 flip to see if I could fish out the coins and try to shake it around and get them to slide out, and it's just not really happening. I think the only way we're going to get these coins out of here is to take the hammer to our poor little piggy friend. So I'm going to try and I'm going to wrap it up in a towel and take the hammer to it. Hopefully then I won't get little bits of porcelain everywhere. So if you're a little squeamish, you might not want to watch this next part, just as a bit of an FYI. Whew, please forgive us for what we're about to do. I think that did it. One whack of the hammer was all it took. Let's see what the damage is. Well, this piggy has seen better days, and it looks like it is going to be mostly pennies that are in here. In fact, that's all I can see, with the exception of a couple of things. I see a nickel right there, but there is something bigger, maybe quarter size. That might be silver. Oh, I see some reeded edges over here. So there's something mangled in there. We got some good stuff. I'm going to clear all this away. I'm going to put the porcelain in a pile. We'll get the towel out of the way, and then we're going to see what we've got. I'm really super excited. This is even better than I had thought. In fact, there's a 1938. We can see a wheat cent. Don't know how old that's going to be. This looks pretty cool. I've swept aside the carnage, and I almost feel like we need to have a moment of silence for the pig. It was a shame, but he did his job diligently, perhaps for the last 80 years, and we owe him a lot, but he gave up his treasure. It didn't take much, actually, one whack of the hammer. And this is pretty exciting. So there's a lot of pennies in here. There are some nickels, and there's a Tomback nickel for sure with some mint luster, which is really cool. There's some American wheat cents. There's a King George V penny. That's exciting. I don't know if there were any key dates in here, that would be incredible. But what is also incredible is what I've got right in the front here. This was the silver that I saw a moment ago. So we did have a quarter, 25 cents from Newfoundland, 1917. Check that out. I'll flip it over. And this is King George V. It looks pretty grungy, but it's not in terrible shape. And this is a really low mint coin. I'm going to have a quick peek at Numista, where we can see a little bit of detail on this. So here it is up on Numista, Newfoundland, 25 cents. Now mine doesn't look quite as cool as that or as nice as that, but this is sterling silver, 0.925 silver. And it's very low mint. If we look at the mintage on this, the 1917 C here, that's what it is. It's got a C mint mark just below the ribbon. 464,779. If it was the 1919, 163,000. And I have a couple of the 1919. This is really awesome. Now, next up, we've got a 1919 Canadian 10 cents, and this is the one that I could see was mangled. Check this out. It is, I don't know what's going on with it. Now, I can say for certain that I didn't do this with the hammer. There's no way I could have messed it up on all sides in different directions. Somebody did this to the coin before they put it in the piggy bank, but this is awesome. This is also, I think this is sterling silver as well, 1919. That is awesome. King George V dime in a piggy bank. And then this is even cooler, a 1942 Mercury dime that looks to be in pretty good condition. This is wicked. 90% US silver in the piggy bank. That's amazing. Now there's a lot of stuff here. I think what I'm going to do is try to separate this out, the US and the Canadian, and the denominations. There's some nickels in here as well, and then we'll look at what we ended up with. This is awesome. So far, it looks like this was really true to form. A keepsake, this pig from the 1940s, really does appear to have been filled up in the 1940s and then left for 80 years. We're going to have to see what the newest date is, but it looks like everything here is from the 40s or earlier. This is incredible. So I started sorting these out, and I pulled out all of the nickels, and there were a bunch of nickels. There are 9 1943 Tomback nickels with some degree of mint luster. I think these ones at the end might be the nicest of them. You can see that's a pretty nice looking nickel. If I flip it over, lots of detail on King George VI. That's wicked. Some of them look a little worse for wear. So they were circulated, I think, before coming in here. But that's wicked. We did get one King George V nickel, a 1929. It's not in mint condition. It's been circulated. Maybe a VG, perhaps. But we were not done with silver, because check it out. There were a couple American nickels in here. Both look to be in fantastic condition. This 1945 right here, in really good condition. This is a silver war nickel. 1945 Philadelphia, 35% silver. And then check out this beauty here. 1940, really nice looking nickel. Philadelphia minted, and just look at the fields, just gorgeous. That is certainly an upgrader in my collection, absolutely, I can guarantee. But if I have a 1940, it does not look like that. Incredible. All right, I'm going to separate out and sort out all of these pennies. And you can see there are some here that still have some mint luster, so I'm really excited, and some older stuff here. There's US, there's Canadian, and so far everything looks to be in the 40s or earlier. So it turns out our greedy little piggy friend had swallowed 14 American pennies, and some of them are pretty old. Right at the top here, we got a 1919, a couple 1920s, a 1936, a couple of 1939s, a couple of 1940s, a couple of 41s, a 42, a couple of 44s, and then our newest coin so far, a 1953 Denver. That's the newest coin that is in this entire thing so far. The next thing I've got to do is go through all of the Canadian cents and see what we've got in here. So I finished sorting through all of the Canadian stuff, and honestly, this is incredible. This really all does point to the idea that this piggy bank was put together, populated, filled up in the 40s. Absolutely. And has sat there for 80 years without being touched until we smashed it open just now. I didn't count everything, but there are stacks of pennies here, and this row at the back is from the 30s. There are two 1932 King George V, a 34, a 35, and then we've got a first year 1937 King George VI, a few 38s, a couple 39s. Really incredible. And then when we go into the 40s, and you can see these stacks are piled up here, we got 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, a big stack of 45, and then 46 and 47. And there are 4 1947s, and they all have some degree of mint luster. These were obviously the newest coins that were put in here. It suggests to me that they might have been brand new when they went in. And then some of the 46s, the second last year, are in really great condition. They're not necessarily in mint shape, or they don't have the luster, but the condition is incredible. This is a largely uncirculated coin that has started to turn, or is mostly turned brown, but you can see the fields are wonderful on there, very flat, no real dings, no real circulation. The only anomaly in this whole thing is this one 1962 that was in here. And of course, that might just be that someone just threw that coin in at some point in time, but this really does suggest that somebody filled this up in 1947 with a bunch of pennies that were circulating at the time. These would have been all the common years. What would have been really cool is if we had the 48s and 49s that have rare varieties. They weren't apparently minted when this piggy bank was filled up. So we don't have any of those, but this is incredible to have gotten all of these coins from the 30s and the 40s, and some even older than that, filled up in this piggy bank. Just incredible. Well, I have to say a huge shout out and thank you to Tim, who found this, thought of me, gave it to me as a gift. That just tells you I've probably spent a little too much time or money in his shop, but otherwise, thank you so much, Tim, for sending that to me. It was so fun to go through, and so many old cool coins. We got Tomback nickels, King George V. We got a silver dime, a silver Newfoundland quarter from 1917. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. We got tons of pennies from the 30s and the 40s. We even got American silver. We got a Mercury dime, and we got a silver war nickel, and a bunch of old wheat pennies. Just incredible. That was pretty awesome to open up that little time capsule and just peek back into time and see a bunch of old coins from this time period. It's not too much different than this piggy bank here. If we thought that somebody filled this up in 2003 with coins that were circulating at the time, that's what exactly happened with this piggy here, but perhaps in 1947. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I apologize to anybody who was squeamish or who didn't want to have to see the destruction of the pig. Sometimes that's just what has to happen, and it was tons of fun. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't already done that, just give the video a like. That's really helpful. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, Capital Hunter, please consider doing that now. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate it. We'll see you again next time. The sponsors of today's video are Lighthouse Canada and the Charlton Press. Lighthouse Canada is the leading supplier of high-quality numismatic supplies in Canada, and the Charlton Press is the leading publisher of coin and paper money catalogs and price guides for Canadian collectors. Go check out their online stores today and use the exclusive discount code CRH20 for 20% off all your purchases.